Rachel Zegler, the young star of the forthcoming bomb that is Snow White, says it's all right she's moving to New York City, but the Access crazy journalists out there, the drive-bys, refuse to say it's because perhaps her time is drawing nigh her career shifty, and now it may be time for Zegler to do a big switcheroo. It's a career change time music. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we as ever endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. What a joy it is to do so, and today we are going to be as kind as we possibly can be to young Rachel Zegler, for she is in the midst of a major problem. The Access Dribby, they are doing everything they can to make her career fly by, but folks, we're here to tell you things are sputtering, and it is falling drastically. As we get ready to talk about this latest fiasco for Snow White, consider clicking the like button. This is out of Screen Rant. It says Snow White's origin change copies a decision Disney already made in the 78% hit show. In other words, this headline wants you to believe that Disney already did this and people liked it. And again, we'll show you in just a moment, this is so bad that Zegler may be having to do a career change. This is why they are on the utter defense. Oh, let's get the author here. Adrian Tyler is the author of this one. Disney's live-action Snow White remake has been confirmed to have made a big but necessary change to the title's character's name, which copies a decision Disney had already made in a TV show with a 78% critic score in Rotten Tomatoes. See, they already did this, folks. They've already done this before. You are just overreacting. You're just overreacting. Since the 2010s, Disney has been riding the wave of live-action remakes of some of its animated movies, and though not all of them have succeeded, the studio continues to make the most out of it. Disney still has a long list of live-action remakes coming up. Oh boy, and next in line, it's Snow White, directed by Mark Webb. Now, what Miss Tyler is not explicitly saying is that people are unhappy because Snow White, the character, her name is based on the color of her skin, just the way that Black Panther is a character based on ethnicity, right? And every once in a while, that's okay. In fact, I would say this is really not my preference for characters whatsoever. I don't really like this idea, but Snow White is who Snow White is, and her skin color references her nobility in Germany at the time, because only those who can afford to not be in the sun are those who can be out of the sun. Snow White is not in the sun, she is nobility. Her skin is as pale as can be. The Snow White live-action remake will keep the same premise as the animated classic, but like every other remake of this kind, it's expected to have various changes. Starring in Snow White, or Rachel Zegler, is the title character. Galato is the evil queen, and Anukapivia as the huntsman. Snow White has been surrounded by different controversies since cast was announced, and it only grew once the first teaser trailer was released, and what they don't say is 98% of the controversy. According to reports from Screen Rant, Disney's upcoming Snow White adaptation has already made some significant changes that have fans up in arms. The controversy centers on the alterations to the character's origin, a move that some claim mirrors a decision Disney previously made in a TV show with a 78% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Controversy always comes from Rachel Zegler. Disney's live-action Snow White name change uses once upon a time explanation, a little TV show, but I'm here to tell you even the headline is misleading. Guess what, folks, they're not even going to be using the actual version here. Hang tight, and then we'll get to Rachel Zegler's career change. The Brothers Grimm's version of Snow White explains the origin of the character's name, and it's purely based on her physical appearance. The story begins with the queen sewing at an open window. During a snowfall, the queen pricks her finger with the needle, and 3 drops of blood fall onto the snow on the black windowsill. The queen then says to herself how she wishes to have a daughter with skin. As Rachel Zegler, the young star of the much-anticipated but controversially received Snow White remake, recently announced that she's making a big move to New York City. While some might see this relocation as a fresh start, the more critical voices in the entertainment world are buzzing with speculation that it could signal a significant shift in her career trajectory. Zegler's move comes amidst increasing scrutiny from the media, with some suggesting that the tide may be turning against her, and that she could be gearing up for a major change in her professional path. Welcome back, everyone, to the Pro Channel, where our mission is to keep you in the loop with all things entertainment and ensure you're ahead of the cultural curve. Today we're diving into the latest developments surrounding Rachel Zegler, who seems to be facing a rough patch in her career. The relentless media narrative paints a picture of Zegler's once promising star sputtering out as the backlash against the live-action Snow White continues to intensify. Before we get into the details, don't forget to hit that like button to stay updated. Critics of the film are quick to argue that while Disney has attempted such changes before, the reception wasn't universally positive, and this latest remake appears to be struggling to find its footing even before its release. Disney has been on a streak of producing live-action remakes of their classic animated films, but not all of these ventures have been hits. While some projects have found success, others have floundered, and it seems that Snow White, directed by Mark Webb, might be facing more turbulence than anticipated. Adrian Tyler's article on Screen Rant points out that this isn't the first time Disney has made controversial changes to a beloved character, but it's the backlash surrounding Rachel Zegler that truly has everyone talking. One of the core issues driving the controversy is the perception that Disney has altered fundamental aspects of the Snow White character, whose name traditionally references her pale complexion symbolizing nobility and status in German folklore. The historical context is that fair skin was often associated with aristocracy, since only the wealthy could afford to stay out of the sun. Much like how the character of Black Panther is intrinsically tied to his African heritage, Snow White's physical description is a critical part of her identity. Many purists argue that these elements are not just superficial details but integral to the character's essence and the story. In an interview with Variety, Zegler revealed an intriguing twist regarding her character's name in the live-action adaptation. She claimed that Snow White's name would be linked to her survival during a snowstorm as an infant, likening her to a figure who battles against harsh elements. This reinterpretation is intended to set the character apart from the traditional lore, yet it has drawn skepticism from fans and critics alike. Symbolism. Despite Disney's attempts to stay true to the original story's premise, the studio has been met with a wave of criticism. The controversy intensified after the release of the teaser trailer, which only fueled the skepticism of fans. Critics have particularly focused on Rachel Zegler, who seems to bear the brunt of the backlash, with some suggesting that her portrayal of Snow White is at odds with the character's traditional image. This has led to whispers that Zegler's future in the industry might involve a pivot away from acting altogether if the reception to her work continues to be lukewarm. As we dissect these developments, it's clear that Zegler's career may be at a crossroads. With the live-action Snow White already mired in controversy, the question remains, will Rachel Zegler be able to weather this storm, or is it time for her to consider a new direction in her career? Some insiders speculate that she might soon transition into other aspects of the entertainment industry, or even take a break from the limelight entirely. The original Grimm brothers version of Snow White is often cited in these debates, as it firmly establishes the character's name based on her physical trait: skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. This imagery is not just a minor detail, it's a fundamental part of the character's mythos. While Disney's adaptation attempts to modernize these aspects, critics argue that stripping away these iconic features diminishes the cultural and historical significance of the tale. In the end, as we look forward to what's next for Rachel Zegler and Disney's Snow White, it's clear that the stakes are high. Whether this film marks a turning point in Zegler's career or simply a bump in the road, one thing is certain: all eyes will be watching to see how she and Disney respond to the mounting criticism. As white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. These iconic phrases are etched into the lore of Snow White, but as we delve deeper into the origins of the character's name, we find a fascinating twist. According to the brothers Grimm, when the queen pricks her finger while sewing at an open window during a snowfall, 3 drops of blood fall onto the snow. This prompts her to wish for a daughter with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. Ultimately, when her daughter is born, she names her Snow White. However, the original story has a notable detail that often gets overlooked. It was actually the father who named her Snow White, honoring the mother. In Disney's animated classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, while the origin of her name is not explicitly explained, it is generally understood to align with the narrative set forth by the brothers Grimm, where her name reflects her physical appearance. The upcoming live-action remake, starring Rachel Zegler, promises some notable changes. Zegler, who stirred up quite the conversation when she accepted the role, openly stated, "I'm not bleaching my skin," dismissing any notions that she would alter her appearance for the part. The discussion surrounding Rachel Zegler's recent career decisions has intensified, particularly in relation to her portrayal of Snow White in the live-action adaptation, which has undergone significant narrative changes, including a reimagined origin story. Critics express concern that Zegler's reinterpretation of the character strays too far from Snow White's traditional identity, sparking debates about the implications of altering such an iconic figure. Although some, like Screen Rant, defend these adaptations, fans remain worried that it diminishes Snow White's essence. In parallel, Zegler has openly expressed her dissatisfaction with Hollywood after a 6-month filming stint in the UK, longing to relocate to New York City for artistic rejuvenation. She has articulated frustration with the isolating nature of fame in Los Angeles, emphasizing her desire for a home that fosters connection and creativity. Despite achieving recognition for her role in West Side Story, her subsequent box office setbacks, including in the Hunger Games franchise, have raised doubts about her future in the industry. As Zegler transitions back to New York, she prepares to star in a production of Romeo and Juliet, marking a shift from her recent experiences. This move ignites speculation about the production's length and potential issues with the film's original cut. Furthermore, her nostalgic comments about diversity and belonging, particularly regarding her return to Spanish-speaking communities in New York, have prompted critique, as her experiences in Europe offered rich cultural exposure. Zegler's desire to embrace the freedom of expression she associates with New York stands in contrast to the pressures of Hollywood. The vibrant, accepting atmosphere of Broadway offers her an opportunity to redefine her career trajectory. However, this shift raises questions about her ability to connect within the competitive theater community, given her sometimes rocky press interactions. Ultimately, Zegler's return to New York represents more than just a relocation. It signals a quest for reinvention and artistic fulfillment in a new environment. With Broadway calling, she faces high stakes as she seeks to establish herself anew, navigating the pressures and opportunities that lie ahead. Whether this move will revive her career or present new challenges remains to be seen, but Zegler's determination to leave her mark in the vibrant city is clear. And the world will be watching closely. The narrative crafted around her, whether framed as a success or a retreat, will undoubtedly shape her legacy in the years to come. Ultimately, Rachel Zegler's transition to Broadway is more than just a career move. It represents a quest for reinvention and self-discovery in an industry rife with challenges. As she navigates this exciting yet uncertain terrain, fans and critics alike will continue to debate the significance of her choices. Whether she emerges victorious or finds herself grappling with new obstacles, one thing is clear: Rachel Zegler's story is far from over, and the next chapter in her artistic journey is one that many will be eager to witness.